Hi there. Thanks for joining us for another Saturday edition of Jamaica Magazine. I'm your host, Theodore Henry. Today we'll reflect on some developments of the past year in Western Roundup. And as always, get health-wise on protecting your body and staying well. Plus, a business opportunity in the fisheries sector. Stick around for these and other interesting features right after this important message.
Crime and violence is infecting our youth. We must work together to rescue them from the gangs, engage them in productive activities, and safeguard Jamaica's future.
The proceeding was brought to you by the Office of the Prime Minister.
The start of the new year is usually a time of reflection, and this first leg of our journey inside the pages of Jamaica Magazine reviews major news stories coming out of Western Jamaica. Take a look.
Happy New Year and all the best for 2023. We're grateful you decided to stay with us, and we look forward to keeping you informed throughout the year. On today's episode of Western Roundup, we've picked our top stories from last year and we bring you the highlights. Stay with us. Throughout 2022, Jamaicans all across the island were kept busy as the government moved to ensure that citizens received proper housing solutions and had access to basic amenities such as water and internet. Many residents in St. Elizabeth became proud landowners. The titles, which were issued under the inaugural Systematic Land Registration (SLR) program of the National Land Agency, signal the start of new beginnings for many.
I am so excited, I'm so proud because I own a part of a land. I didn't have a title, but now I have a title and I am a proud owner.
I feel very proud because I have this land over 30 years and this is the first opportunity I ever have it.
The SLR program seeks to assist persons in obtaining titles through the process of adjudication for properties they have been living on open, undisturbed and undisputed for upwards of 12 years. It is projected that some 20,000 certificates of title will be distributed over the next 3 years under the program. Similarly, several residents benefited from the government's new social housing program, NSHP, a gift that for many cannot be quantified in words.
Receiving this 2-bedroom house, I'm so grateful and thankful for it because where I live wasn't mine and I didn't need somewhere to me and my son. So I don't want the house. I need the house, so I'm so thankful.
Last year, over 453 individuals benefited from the new social housing program with a total of 119 housing units handed over throughout 47 constituencies across the island.
This program is born out of the desire to attend to the urgent needs of the Jamaican people. This is a program that is designed to be aligned with the deep desire of the Jamaican people for housing, for opportunities to be productive and to be employed.
Thousands of residents also gained access to piped water in their communities. The initiatives, which were spearheaded in some instances by the National Water Commission, the Rural Water Supply Limited and other stakeholders, had residents feeling relieved and elated.
So we are grateful, I am happy, I am glad that this is a reality, that we will have the access to potable water in the parish, in the district of Aberdeen.
We are ensuring that Jamaicans who live in rural Jamaica are benefiting from the investment of the National Water Commission. At the beginning of the year, we had approximately 78% of the country connected to potable water systems of the NWC. Now, it doesn't mean that there are not other small systems, municipal systems, UDC systems, etc. If we are at 78% of citizens with NWC potable water in their pipes in 2022, it means we need to go far and fast.
The government is also reducing the cost of energy used to pump water throughout the country, including finding cheaper energy sources. Finally, Jamaicans in every nook and cranny of the island now have better access to internet connectivity through the Universal Service Fund's USF Community Wi-Fi program. Residents have been praising the project, which was first established in 2017 to give underserved and unserved communities access to internet.
This afternoon, I'm happy to be a part of this, I would say, historic moment, because today the community of flankers will be benefiting, will be gifted with a powerful tools, boys and girls. And if used wisely, we can impact the world in a positive way.
I help my children very much because most time when the Wi-Fi down at home, they can walk on the street and get free Wi-Fi.
The secured hotspots allow residents, including students, to connect to the high-speed service. It provides internet access for up to 200 individuals at any one time. More than 100 such facilities have already been installed.
And that's all for the program today. As usual, thanks for joining us on this episode of Western Roundup, where we take you from the corners of St. Elizabeth to the hilly terrains of St. Anne. Remember to send your feedback to gis@gis.gov.jm. Again, Happy New Year.
Water is precious. So we encourage everyone to practice the 4 R's of water conservation. Always remember to reduce your use of water wherever possible. Replace water wasting devices with water savings devices. Reuse water wherever possible. And wherever leaks are found, please repair them and repair them quickly.
Don't delay. Practice the 4 R's of water conservation today.
With many of our children returning to school for a new term, we explore an often overlooked aspect of their health.
Deworming is the process of giving worm medicine to an individual to get rid of parasites such as roundworm and tapeworm. While the focus is usually on children, adults should also be dewormed. Consultant pediatrician at the Bustamante Hospital for Children, Dr. Sandrika Young-Peart, tells us why this process is important, signs to look for, and the impact of these worms to our health.
When we talk about worms, we're talking about multiple different types. We may talk about the roundworm, the pinworm, or we can talk about the whipworm. And these are just some of the few worms that exist. The worms can actually cause a disease burden on our society, and the complications of having worm infestations are numerous and problematic. It affects how our children may concentrate and may be able to learn. There are actually documented findings that it actually affects your cognitive and your physical development and your ability to concentrate in school. And so it's actually important that we actually rid our children of these parasites. According to the WHO, approximately 800 million children are actually affected by worms each year. So what are some of the signs that a person may have worms? Symptoms could be what we commonly think about, like grinding of the teeth. They may be itching their anus, right? They may actually have weight loss. They may feel very tired and fatigued. And these are just some of the symptoms that may give you an indication that your child may have worm. They may not have any signs at all. Or they can have other signs and symptoms, such as vomiting, abdominal swelling or distension, diarrhea, or constipation. If the worms actually form balls, they can actually block the intestines, and that can either cause constipation and cause the child to vomit. They can also present with wheezing, and we may think they are actually asthmatics, but it's actually the worms that have migrated into the lungs to cause obstruction of the airway and cause the child to wheeze. So how do they get infected? They may get infected either by eating or drinking contaminated water or food, if there is inadequate or improper waste disposal, and if we don't wash our hands before we eat or drink food. And there's a particular worm that you can actually get if you actually walk barefooted. So that is also something to bear in mind. And so it's actually important that we actually give our children worm medicine so we can actually target getting rid of these worms and actually reducing the worm burden in our society. You can deworm your children twice per year. You should actually give them worm medicine, and all the persons who are in the household should also get the worm medicine at the same time. It is important that our adults also be treated or dewormed, because we can be asymptomatic, meaning that we don't have any symptoms at all, but we can still be carriers of worms. And when we excrete or pass our feces, especially sometimes when we do it inappropriately, we may pass out the eggs of these worms. Then our cows or poultry or pigs may actually ingest these when they feed. And then that's a vicious cycle. And should our children be playing in the areas where waste is inadequately disposed, then they too can actually pick up the eggs or the larvae on their fingers. And if they don't wash their hands before they eat, or while they're in the midst of playing, they may actually put their fingers in their mouth, then they too can actually ingest these worms. So how can you prevent your child from getting worms? It's difficult, but there are some basic tips that we can actually do to reduce the chance of our children getting these serious worm infections and having the complications. It's basic hand washing before eating our food, allowing our children not to walk barefooted, allowing our children not to play with the pets, especially if their pets are not treated quite frequently. And importantly, proper hygiene. Ensure that our waste is disposed properly. So it's pretty important that we all get on board as adults so we can actually reduce the worm burden and the impact on our society.
Lowering the sodium content in children's diets today can help prevent heart disease later in their life, especially for those who are overweight. Shake the salt habit, shop smart and cook smart. Use less or no salt when cooking. Try using fresh herbs and seasonings to add more flavor. Limit the consumption of salty snacks. Take the time to carefully read the nutrition labels on food products to identify those high in salt and choose the healthier options. Remember, no more than 2 grams of salt per day from all food sources for children under 11 years of age.
Learn about the signs, symptoms, causes and treatment of a growing form of cancer on the island in this next feature.
According to the World Health Organization's World Health Ranking, someone in Jamaica is more likely to lose their life from prostate cancer, lung cancer, breast cancer, stomach, cervical, liver, uterine, and even ovary cancer before they'll ever go from bladder cancer. Now, the rarity of this illness drafted local statistics at 0.34% of the total number of deaths in the island in 2018. That's only 62 people. But of course, that's 62 people too many. And maybe, just possibly, 62,000 people not having ever heard of this disease until now.
So the bladder is a small muscular organ that is in the pelvis, deep down in the pelvis. Its purpose is really to store urine. Now, cancer, as has been said before, It refers to the unregulated abnormal growth of cells, and in this case it would be the bladder. So bladder cancer is unregulated growth, usually from the lining of the bladder, that is abnormal cell growth. So the signs and symptoms of bladder cancer, usually the commonest sign is usually hematuria. Now what hematuria is blood in the urine. So usually it's painless hematuria, maybe painful hematuria, which is pain along with blood in the urine. Also, there may be irritative bladder symptoms, or as we would say, storage, lower urinary tract symptoms. Some of these include urgency, frequency, going to the bathroom frequently, waking up often at nights, it's known as nocturia, and in general, some dysuria, which is like burning when you pass your urine.
Now, before you experience any of those symptoms, there are some causative factors that lead to bladder cancer that you may want to assess first. It simply means that while it happens, it's usually preventable.
The commonest causative factor for bladder cancer is cigarette smoking. It's actually associated with about 50 to 60% of bladder cancers. There are other risk factors which are known as occupational hazards. So individuals who work in the industries and have prolonged exposure to aromatic amines, aromatic hydrocarbons. So in the textile industry, painters, those who work with tar, amongst other occupational hazards, are at risk for bladder cancer. Patients who also have, for whatever reason, they'll have chronic irritation to the bladder. So there's a parasitic infestation known as schistosomiasis that's rarely associated with bladder cancer also. Patients who have chronic catheters, indwelling catheters, as well as bladder stones and a few other things that cause chronic irritation to the bladder.
Now, bladder cancer is very picky when it comes down to gender, with the likelihood of displaying its sprouting behavior on men more often than women. And while the data shows that you don't necessarily need to be thinking about this until you're well over your 40s, there is proof that it affects many of us who are nowhere near to collecting our pension. Wow.
The older you become is the more at risk you are. Usually not before the age of 40 that bladder cancer is seen. It's more common in the 5th to 6th decades of life, 5th, 6th, 7th decades of life. It's actually more common in men than women, and this is thought to be associated with lifestyle amongst other things. Bladder cancer is very treatable. In fact, most bladder cancers present as organ-confined disease, meaning that they're absolutely curable. The treatment options include definitely surgery. This involves what is known as a transurethral resection of the bladder to actually get diagnosis, and in some cases is curative if the tumor is completely gotten. This involves passing instruments through the urethra, which is the opening through which you pass urine from the bladder, and that allows us to see the tumor. It allows us to resect or scrape the tumor away from the bladder wall, and in some cases we may or may not give intravesical immunotherapy or chemotherapy depending on the risk of the disease. But that's usually how bladder cancer is initially treated.
So now may be a good time to just pause for a bit and think about the causes, signs, and symptoms of bladder cancer. And if you've been treated from it before, remember to get your regular checkups, because bladder cancer has a high recurrence rate. Watching from the sidelines or the confines of a bed can be a bit of a sting for some, piercing for others. So let's go stronger and healthier together by prioritizing our health.
Nutritious food, succulent dishes, superior workmanship, and excellent service. Jamaica is on the go
Let's grow what we eat and eat what we grow. Let's harness the indomitable spirit of our most valued resource, our people. Let's support our local businesses. After all, buying Jamaican means building Jamaica.
Original.
An important aspect of living a comfortable life is to have some degree of independence. Find out how you can tap into a burgeoning sector that's also contributing to food security.
According to the Food and Agriculture Organization, in a 2011 UN-published report, Jamaica has one of the highest levels of fish consumption per capita in the Americas, with 30.6 kilograms of raw fish weight per annum. A substantial portion of the over 80% of marine fish consumed in Jamaica is, however, imported. The National Fisheries Authority is therefore focusing on tilapia production and marketing to meet the growing local appetite for fish. This has become necessary, especially due to the decline in coral reef fish stocks, the increasing demand for seafood, coupled with the huge untapped local market for tilapia, providing a perfect opportunity to increase import substitution.
Tilapia is very important to the Jamaica food security strategy. For one, it's a priority under the National Fisheries Authority as to increase food and nutritional security. There are a lot of agricultural lands available that are capable of having fish ponds on it. There's also other government agencies who are looking to collaborate with to be creating aquaculture parks where we'll be having multiple ponds where persons can come on to grow their fish there, where we'll have the setups. We're teaching our farmers to do this as a business, to do it technically sound, to use the technical advice that the NFA will provide for them so that they will be able to become more profitable, where the growth times will be shorter, where the quality of the fish will be better, where the consumer will be happier.
Getting started in fish farming, it's as easy as ABC. Persons first need to get in contact with the National Fisheries Authority. Then, someone from our office will actually come, speak to the person, make arrangement to come and visit the location, and then we'll do what we call a site evaluation. Your next step is to get registered with the National Fisheries Authority. Registration process is easy. You call our office, also someone will come and verify that you are a farmer, and you would need some items such as a government issued ID, 2 passport size pictures certified by a JP, fill out the application form, and only $600.
The local industry is regulated and supported by the government to ensure quality standards.
Farmers will have to maintain their water quality where possible. They can get it assessed if needed. If you are feeding your tilapia according to stocking density, making sure that they're getting the right quantity of feed, then it reduces the risk of you overfeeding the pond, and feed that is not eaten by the fish will then stay in the pond and become rotted. That will of course disrupt your water quality. This is the algae that they will feed on that will permeate through their system and causes the flesh to taste like mud.
Depending on the size of the pond, so if it's a 1 acre pond, well, that 1 acre pond can stock anywhere between 10 to 15,000 advanced fries, and those normally take 6 months to reach maturity.
If you live on your farm, it can be extremely profitable. You can make 50% on your investment in every crop. We look for ponds that are not aerated, not artificially aerated. We look for about 4,000 pounds per acre per crop, and ponds that are aerated, we look for between 6,500 to 8,000 pounds per acre. You have to maintain the best water quality possible, especially as you approach harvest time.
A lot of people in Jamaica don't really fully know about tilapia. I introduced it to a lot of people, and some of them are my best customers now. And before that, they never know much about tilapia.
Aquaculture, especially that of tilapia, can fill the gap in the health-conscious demand for quality seafood products. Its firm texture and mild flavor makes it ideal for a variety of cooking methods. Tilapia also offers several attractive benefits for the householder and food service providers. Its high appeal and high profit as a center-of-the-plate item. Menu versatility, as tilapia works well with many different flavor profiles. The fact that it is low in calorie and fat for healthy menu applications. It is free of saturated fats, high in omega-3 fatty acids, a good source of protein for weight management, a natural fish which originated in Africa.
You can have tilapia taste whatever way you want it to taste. If we get more Jamaicans supporting this and buying product Jamaica, because that's really what it is, because it's grown and produced here, it can do wonders for the economy.
And while the appetite for tilapia is big at home, this versatile product is increasing in popularity in North America and Europe, providing lucrative export potential.
On our roads, remember, take time, be courteous, drive good, walk good. Don't drink alcohol and drive. Don't drive tired or sleepy. Don't tailgate and don't overtake unless it is safe to do so. And always drive at a speed which will allow you time to stop quickly and safely. Let's keep it safe on our roads.
And this is where we end today's journey inside Jamaica Magazine. Be sure to join us tomorrow for another show. Until then, there is more to watch by visiting our website, jis.gov.jm. On behalf of the entire production team, I'm Theodore Henry. Until next time, take care and live good.
This has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.